Okay, so we're going to try this out and see how this works. We've had lots of students asking me about where to proceed after getting the background done. So what this all basically runs down to is opposites. If you have an area that's light, like right here, then the color value that you need to use on the opposite side has to be of the opposite spectrum. So here, this right here, would be black or a very dark gray. Alright? And one of the things you can do, if you have a very large space, you can change it up. So here I'm going to go from a dark to a light across that way, dark to a light. One of the things, if you're starting to see an awful lot of lines showing up in your drawings, ease up on your pencil. Try not to go too awfully dark. So I've got this space taken care of for right now. I'll deal with this later. But now I've bumped up against a new shape, this right here. So if I go in and, again, starting off with the opposite, so this is nice and dark. Your edge lines, you want to keep them nice and crisp and clean. And I'm going to fade this from a dark into a light, like this. With the fractured image, you can't just go any which way. You've got to follow a pattern. You've got to build it up slowly. Alright, so that's light on this side, so this is going to be nice and dark. You can always lighten stuff up more. This right in here could probably be a little bit lighter. So I could go back in and kind of lighten that up. Ease up as I go across. Now, if I start in this section right here, okay, and I'm going to make that dark. It's kind of weird right here because you've got this dark area right here butting up to that. So I'm going to ease that up a little bit, make it a little bit lighter. Make this light. Sometimes you just have to finesse it so that it works. You always want an opposite. Always easier to make the darker areas the clean straight lines than it is to make the lighter areas. So I encourage you, when you're doing the really black areas, to go back over top of it and clean up that line, because that's going to make it a lot easier to do. So there you can see that part is started. Let's go ahead. I'm going to move this around here. Let's see. I want to focus on this area right here. So the pattern on this side was dark to light, dark to light. So in this section, this side is going to be the dark, and it's going to fade to light at the top. I'll just draw that in real fast. Dark. Nice crisp lines, dark to light. Another thing to keep in mind is your brush stroke. Your pencil strokes should be short and close together. A lot of times when you start to see a lot of lines and a lot of scribbles, it's because you're just kind of all over the place. You want to be controlled. Shading is a controlled creation. Got to focus on where your pencil's at. You got to focus on how it's creating that area of value. Okay, now this is kind of like a hiccup in it, so I'm going to go back in, kind of clean that up a little bit more, crisp that line up a little bit. Okay, now coming back down in here, this is dark right in here. I have a dark up here, so this area right in here, I want it to be light. work over here. Bring it in light. One thing you could do is, if you're kind of questioning of what should you do, it's okay to go back in and just put in a light gray, something really, really soft, just to fill up that space. So I've got this area filled in with gray. Now if I look here, all right, I've got dark to light. This side of my shape needs to be dark. And it can go, I can just have that fade out. I could have it go dark right here and then fade it to light. Just because you have an area that's dark doesn't mean it has to go all the way across. You can fade that out. That's going to give you a lot more interesting tones to watch develop on the paper. So you're helping to pop that forward. Okay, so hopefully that little tutorial it was helpful in showing you how to start getting into the nitty-gritty. The main thing is, anytime you have two shapes that come together, you've got to do the opposite. That's the key to getting it to work.